Inside the halls of San Diego State University lies a program dedicated to storytelling and pursuing the truth. Welcome to Where You At, a podcast that takes you inside the work of alumni for the School of Journalism and Media Studies at San Diego State. Our goal is to show the success of our alumni, inspire students with the stories, and connect students and alums on a pathway to journalism success. And now, here's your host, Josh Suchon.
This week on the Where You At podcast, we are heading out to Houston, Texas, and we are discussing sports marketing, sports partnerships, business development. Our guest today is Tom Fletcher. He attended San Diego State in the 90s. He was a member of the football team. He just announced that he is the new Senior Vice President, Partnerships for the Houston Rockets. I feel like I'm back at the Daily Aztec and I'm breaking news. Before that, he worked for the Phoenix Suns, the Portland Trailblazers, IMG College, and Special Olympics of Northern California. My friend, Tom Fletcher, welcome to the Where You At podcast.
I appreciate you having me, my friend. It's long overdue.
Yeah, exactly. Tom and I have known each other since college. He was like an honorary member of the Daily Aztec as he was playing on the football team. Again, let's start with the new job. Congratulations. Tell us about the new job and what you'll be doing for the Houston Rockets.
No, appreciate that. Excited, and obviously just hit the wire today. So joining the Rockets as the Senior Vice President of Corporate Partnerships, they're going to put $100 million into the arena in a renovation. Something we did similar here in Phoenix when I first got here 6 years ago. We put about $250 million in the arena. So it's an opportunity to kind of really reshape how partnerships are being done within the building on a nice refresh, and how do you do entitlements around it and tie partners back into it. So it's an exciting time, obviously a phenomenally young, exciting team on the court, and excited to be able to take what we do off the court and elevate that in a fun way.
Okay, so for people who don't know, Senior Vice President Partnerships. I mean, the bottom line is it's your job to bring in money for the university, but tell us more in terms of like what it means to be a partner, especially with what you mentioned, the new things that are coming into the arena, how you can plan those things, how you work those different elements in together so that it's both good for the fans, your partners, and of course the Rockets.
Yeah, so I think for us, it's looking at how do you take right now the two levels in the building look exactly the same. So the goal in this is renovating the suite levels to be different so you can sell entitlements to both. So it not only satisfies what the fan is looking for in great premium areas, but it allows you to now take it to market and sell an entitlement to those areas. We're going to blow open the main entry, kind of like what we did in Phoenix, main entry. So when you walk in the main atrium, you can actually see in the bowl of the arena. Again, another opportunity to be able to sell entitlement, engagement, all things you look at that can be dual purpose, i.e. fan engagement, great opportunity for the fans. And then how can you turn around and tie a partner into it? And now you're not only offsetting what that expense is, you're growing revenue outside of that as well too. So all those things are exciting. All brand new seats that'll go in the arena as well too. The building is hosting in 28 the Republican National Convention. So a lot of the gearing and timing is built out on how do we get to that main, obviously major event and put us in the right spot.
All right. So we're going to get into a lot of what Tom has done throughout his career, more about what he's about to do next with his career, but we got to rewind. San Diego State. You went there as a student athlete. Tom was a long snapper on the football team, field goals, point after tries, punts, never had a bad snap his entire 4 years. Tell us why San Diego State. Tell us why you went there.
So grew up in San Marcos, actually was going to go to another university in the WAC. And my dad and I had a really good conversation. And my dad had graduated from San Diego State. It was an opportunity to be able to stay home and play in a stadium that my grandfather actually helped bring to San Diego. So that was a pretty amazing opportunity as well. And so for me, it was a no-brainer in the fact that the person who was in front of me was a senior. So I had a chance to redshirt, and then the opportunity, if I earned the job, to start for 4 years. That was a pretty good tie.
You majored in communications, and sometimes as a student athlete, you don't always get to pick exactly what major you want because you may not have the opportunity with classes and all the responsibilities. And I really want to get into what it means to be a student athlete because For me and Matt Linville and Eric Winter, I mean, we can hang out in the Daily Aztec all day, all night. We did, but you've got practices, film session, weight room, study hall. Give us what it meant to be a student athlete and how being a communications major worked for you.
I would say the communications major I chose. That was one for me that was a no-brainer. I chose that on the front end. I got into Toastmasters in high school. I was on the debate team in high school. So the speaking piece of it was an important one for me. And I was always told if you can speak in a business setting or meeting or event, you have an opportunity to pretty much do any job that you would like to do. And I had a professor when I first started at San Diego State that gave me a book of like 1,001 jobs you can get as a communications major. And it was one I'm like, okay, this is the right thing for me. Plus, I do not like math. And as a communications major, I took a stats course to graduate. And so that was probably the drive. Although my post career since then, I should have a math degree based on all these stats and everything that we do in our job today. But I think the part for me is I loved balancing being a student athlete of practice and school because I think it kept you regimented and on schedule. Mm-hmm. I like that. And for me, it was a great way to be able to balance my time. I mean, from 8 years old, I started playing sports and all the way through. I mean, high school, I played 3 sports and it allowed for me to keep me on track of my time of what was done. You didn't have to procrastinate on homework and getting that going. We had great student counselors within athletics, certainly nothing like they do today, but we had great student counselors that kept us on track. And school was important to me. That was a big one on my end. I didn't know if I was going to play at the next level, and I wanted to make sure that I could take those degrees and be able to leverage them into kind of what life could be like after football.
But in terms of life after football, again, you don't have the same amount of time to do internships that a non-student athlete would have. So what were the types of things that you did on your own that you had to do just in order to get the experience away from the football field that would ultimately get you in the position that you're in now?
Yeah, I would say that's probably the biggest thing that hurt. And again, I didn't know any different, right? So back then I had no clue of what I was missing out on. Mm-hmm. Part of it is, I thought I was actually going to go into the bureau when I got done playing. I was like, well, I was going to do something like you, go into broadcasting, or was I going to go to the FBI and maybe go get a criminal justice degree after, and kind of what path I wanted to go. So I did a radio internship with John Quintera, who I love John, the legend, and John Quintera. And I got into kind of the radio side of it and realized I did not want to do the radio side of it. So for me, it was one of those, I was like, okay. So I didn't have the right path. But I can tell you, and again, I know we'll talk about it later, I can tell you since then, and I've gotten in this business, I talk to every young person, especially those who are athletes, to be able to kind of make sure that you figure out how to layer those internships in. And again, there's opportunities in the offseason. It goes right back to your schedule. How do you balance spring ball, and how do you turn around and look at the internship opportunities? Most of these universities now are doing double session summer schools in the summer, but how can you find that window to be able to do it? Because it's so important. And it's not only important of kind of what you want to do, but it's also figuring out what you don't want to do. Mm-hmm. And I think that was the biggest thing for me is jumping into it and going, gosh, you know what? This part doesn't excite me. The radio business was when I thought I'd be all about it. And I'm like, it doesn't work for me. And that kind of led to other paths.
You and I could talk football all day. What were some of the other things that you did away from the football field, away from the practice field, that did get you some type of experience that helped you ultimately?
Yeah, I would say, again, great professors within the communication building that really, I was fortunate, took a liking to me, mm-hmm. and were ones who, again, got me into debate, got me into kind of communication-driven events, and those type of opportunities on campus to do more. Again, Daily Aztec, I was, PR on the football side with Brett Hansen and those guys. So being able to go over and kind of learn more of the sports business, not even realizing that I wanted to have a career in sports. That wasn't even a thought, because back then, sports marketing and sports partnerships wasn't part of the conversation. We didn't even have that as a degree or opportunity back at the university. So for me, it was I took a summer job. Part of it is I had to earn money, needed to have dollars coming in, and so I took a summer job with Mr. Fowler at Mesa Distributing, and I humped cases of beer, and that taught me to make sure that whatever my career was going to be, I wasn't going to hump cases of beer, because that was a heck of a summer gig, but a great workout. And Garth D. Felice is the guy that I rolled up to, and great story about that is Garth was my manager. Garth was a former San Diego State guy. When I was playing at San Diego State, Garth was a umpire on the football field for the WAC. When I graduated and went to the next level, Garth graduated, went to the NFL. So it was pretty cool to be able to kind of have that connection, because when I was, again, humping cases at Mesa, again, he was in my ear talking about what my life could be and kind of what those other opportunities are. Because you had a guy that was, a manager at Mesa Distributing, but was also refereeing on the side, and it kind of gave an opportunity to me to balance out kind of what my career path could be.
I just remembered this. Weren't you one of the main football players who would host incoming recruits?
Totally. We would do that for sure.
And how does that help as a communications major? Just the idea, you're selling San Diego State. What you do now, you sell the NBA, you sell the Houston Rockets. But back then, whether you realized it or not, you were selling San Diego State.
Yeah, and I think it worked twofold. And it's funny because my son and I have this conversation all the time, because I think he's really, really good at it. I think I was all right. I think he's really good at it. Is having the ability to be able to talk to the players and what it means to be an athlete at San Diego State, but also having the ability to be able to speak to the parents from a student athlete perspective, and adjusting that conversation so the parents resonate with it as well. I think that's a unique skill set. And I think that got me prepared for whatever my career was going to be. And certainly something that my son and I have talked a lot about in his path of playing football, and certainly hosting recruits and now coaching and stuff, is to be able to have that dual understanding of what is important to the players, because it's so different in many ways than the parents, but also to be able to balance it out with the parents to make sure that they know their young man is going to be taken care of at school.
So you had some time in the NFL as well. And I'm curious, I think for all athletes, it's a little bit different when they basically come to the grips with, okay, my career is over. What was it for you when you realized, okay, my career is going to be over and I'm okay with it, and now it's truly time to figure out what's next? What was that transition like for you?
So I don't know if I was truly okay with it. I don't know if, unless you're like, somebody's played in the league 15 years and you're like, maybe I'll shut it down. I feel like I was voluntold that my career was time to shift. And the money was so different back then, right? So that was the other piece around it too, is the dollars, the TV dollars were so different. So for me, it was one of can look at and go, all right, if I'm going to invest the same time and energy into football as I would into business, my goal was in the first 3 to 5 years of whatever career I was going to get into was to make as much as my rookie contract was. Now, you can't do that today. The dollars are so different today. But back then, it made it much more of an easier transition. It wasn't like you were walking away from stupid money. Money was still good at 23 years, 24 years old. But I was scrambling. Again, I was trying to figure out what did I want to do? And for me, I literally took a temp job at 24-Hour Fitness in their marketing department, just trying to figure out, okay, what's next? Kind of where's this go? And fortunately for me, I, at the same time, again, I was intrigued about law enforcement, and I took the police exam for Escondido, Oceanside, and Carlsbad police departments, and scored off the charts, which was amazing because I just got done playing, so I was in decent shape. And I went through all the background, everything with the 3 departments, and got offered by 2 of the 3. Well, 24-Hour Fitness found out about it, and they turned around and said, hold on, we want to hire you full time. We want to look at this marketing opportunity for you. I ended up hitting it off with the CEO, and they wanted us to move from San Diego to the Bay Area and really reshape what was happening from a marketing perspective as this flourishing company at 24-Hour Fitness, which was only 100 clubs at the time, to be able to jump on that. So for me, it was taking a chance, right? part-time, like, temp job, busting your tail, right? Doing the right thing, which was important. And it opened up a door of opportunity for me that I did not think was going to be a door. I didn't have a marketing background. That wasn't what I studied for. I have a comms background, so I could talk and I could kind of be able to pass that. And so it opened up a door for me that I did not think was going to be there.
Yeah, yeah. And then I remember when you were working for Special Olympics of Northern California. Tell us about getting that job and what it means to put on a golf tournament, what it means to put on different events to raise money.
If you're good, I'll transition that. So
Yeah.
when I was at 24 Fitness, it was amazing. I ran the sports marketing for the US as we developed this program, and I went to every sporting event I could imagine. It was unbelievable. Every event I went to, I was like, man, these events don't mean anything to me. I don't have a vested interest. I'm just a client. I want it to mean something to me. So I worked with all these teams because I was a sponsor of all these teams. And basically they came back to me and said, you hadn't sold. I'm like, okay. So I left a job that was unbelievable. And I was a volunteer and a partner at Special Olympics. And I'm like, there's an opportunity there for me to go there and sell, take over as director of marketing and partnerships, and be able to learn that piece to be able to have it be what my end game was, which to go work for a team.
Mhm.
So I went to Special Olympics with the idea of let me develop this, let me grow myself. So it opens up the next opportunity for me to get on the team side. And I will tell you, unbelievable 3 years that I had at Special Olympics. It is an incredible program. I ended up being on the board when I was done because it's such a dear thing to us and to be able to have my kids grow up and see that. But it was huge because there was no state funding, so you had to go out and be able to generate revenue and know that you weren't going to put on a summer's games or winter games or any of those unless you generated partnership revenue. So we started for the first time doing six-figure deals around Special Olympics and the events that were happening. And it was amazing run for us. And you were in the Bay Area. And for me in 08, 09, you're looking at the dot-com market falling out and philanthropy changing and all that. So that kind of was like, ooh, okay, what happens next? And I was fortunate in the fact that I got calls from the Portland Trailblazers and John Elway's group, because John was starting the arena football team, the Colorado Crush. And it was trying to decide between those two entities what I wanted to do to start making that shift to the team side. And for us, we chose the Trailblazers as that next step.
Before we talk about the Trailblazers, I have a vivid memory. It is Super Bowl week in San Diego. Marshall Faulk is hosting his charity golf tournament in San Diego. And I'm at one of the holes and you're with me, right? I'm pushing my book, This Gracious Season. You're like my hype man. But I remember just watching the way that you just effortlessly talked to football players. I remember Ozzie Smith was like one of the celebrities who was there. Marshall Faulk obviously was there. Eric Dickerson was there. And I remember like the other thing that I remember is that you just always had this idea of if I can get this item, then I can sell this at some event that we're going to do. This can be a great item for this charity event. It can be part of a silent auction, it can be part of like a bidding auction. And I'm wondering if you can just speak of just how your mind operated then to this day in terms of if I can make this connection with this person, if I can get this type of memorabilia, I can bring in money and I can do something really good for Special Olympics.
Yeah, and appreciate that. I think the biggest thing around athletes is, and I think the thing that helps me and kind of separates me from it, I want nothing from you. I'm not going to just get your autograph or I'm not going to just take a selfie photo. That's not, I don't want that. And I'm going to be real. And if I turn around and say, look, this is the program I'm working with. This is what we do. Your donation or whatever you sign is going to go directly back to make a difference for this. And when it's done, I'll send you the follow-up so you understand what you did and the difference you made around it. And I think for me, it's one of having been an athlete and understanding those. And again, I certainly wasn't at that level of Ozzy or Dickerson or Marshall, but knowing the takers of what everybody wants from you, I think being able to have a true connection and a true personality of the fact that, look, I'm not trying to take anything from you. I want to do the right thing by you that can make a difference for young people. And I think that resonates with it. And it's funny, I go back to like just when I talk about it, different things that I see today. And there's a center for the Rockets, Adams, who used to play at OKC, and we were playing the Rockets. The Suns were playing the Rockets, and he was coming through the tunnel pregame. And I'm watching him as he's walking up, and all these people are hanging over the rail trying to get him to sign. And I've never seen a player go through and look, and he would point and he goes, "Nope, oh, okay," because he was looking at who he thought would be a taker. If he signed it, they were going to go sell it. They were going to go retail it. And it was just interesting to me to watch, because a lot of players just come through and not even sign anything, and they don't have to deal with it. But it's one of the first times I've seen a player actually evaluate the stands to figure out kind of what was people's intention. And I think if you come into it with great intention in anything you do, I feel like it comes back to you.
I want to follow up on something you said too about the follow-up. Follow up on the follow-up. I'll never forget our dear friend, Eric Winter. I remember he would tell me I would finish some type of like job interview, and he would say, send a handwritten thank you note to the person who interviewed you. And I was like, no way. And he's like, do it. I'm like, dude, can't I just send an email? And he's like, no, you need to do a handwritten thank you note. And I'm like, Eric, no one does that. He goes, exactly. You will be the person. And so when you say, I follow up with the athlete and let them know this is the impact that your autograph, your time, tell us more about the importance of that follow-up.
Again, we're packing because we're moving. If I could open up the box to the left of me right here, it's got all my personal stationery in that box that's to the left of me. To this day, at 52 years old, going on 53, I still write handwritten notes because it goes right back to what Winter said. Nobody else is doing it. Everybody loves to get something in the mail. Everybody loves to get something that somebody truly took the time to do. Anybody can send a text. Anybody can send an email. But to be able to have somebody take the time to actually write something down, that connection is amazing. And so for me, it was always one that with the athlete piece of it, if you're doing something, I was going to send you a follow-up, let you know the impact you made. Even to today, right, of me leaving the Phoenix Suns, I wrote a handwritten note to every single team member within my department that was specific to them. Again, those are things to me that make a difference and an impact. And it's from the heart, and it's genuine as genuine can be. And I think those things make a difference and an impact. There's a gentleman by the name of Bob Bodine. He wrote a book called The Power of Who. And I've been referencing this a lot. We were fortunate to have Bob come speak at a partner summit that we just did. And Bob talks about the fact that you already know all the people you need to know. And so if you look at it and you look at that connection point, you know, if you want to open up a door to something and you may not have it, you may reach out to Winter, you may reach out to me, and we're going to have that connection point. But the other piece is what he does is he does a thing called on Fridays called Who Friday. And his company shuts down at noon on Friday. And the rest of the day, they start reaching out, whether that's writing letters out to clients just to say hello and check in, or making a phone call to check in. It's intentional. And writing a handwritten note is an intentional thing that can make an impact and a difference. And what's great is my kids at 26 and 24 still do that today, and they get it and they understand why. And that part is awesome.
That man, yes. I just want to just keep saying yes to what Fletch said, because so often in the world, but especially in the world of sports and business and communications, journalism, we talk about relationships. Oh yeah, you just got to build relationships. That is how you build relationships. What Tom just said, like that is how you build relationships. Let's talk about the NBA, because I'm curious. It'd be really easy if you just work in the NFL, right? You played football. You played in the NFL. Was it intentional to pick a different sport, or was it accidental that you've ended up working for 3 different NBA teams?
I would say it was accidental in regards to the sport I chose. Mm-hmm. I chose the Trailblazers because the people, the folks who hired me, Sarah Mensah, Jack Bradley, Aaron Hubert, I took that role because of the people. It just happened to be basketball. When I was on the client side of the business, I had a VP of partnerships, her name Marcy English. I literally came across Marcy's name today, worked for the Colorado Rockies. I'm like, Marcy, I said, I think I want to work for a team. And she goes, don't work in baseball. I'm like, Marcy, but you work in baseball. She's like, yeah, don't work in baseball. I'm like, okay, I got it. 81 home games is tough to host. It's tough to kind of navigate and manage that. And candidly, for me, football, while I love it, my first love, that 10 home games to me is just not enough. If you miss the first 2 or 3 games, a 30-year season's over. If I miss you on the first 4 or 5 games, or I miss you on a Monday night game, we're probably playing Thursday and I get a chance to host you and interact. So I like that from a business side. So I like the business of basketball and what we can do. I also love working a building, right? So a building of 17,000, I can get around 3 or 4 times over the course of a game to work that building. On an NFL stadium, yeah, I'm probably going to stay on one side of the building, or I'm going to maybe hit the other side once. The connection piece of what you can do and what we do around basketball, I like that side of the business.
Another thing I'm curious about, coincidence or not, your LinkedIn makes no mention whatsoever that you played football, that you played in the NFL. Is that on purpose? Were you lazy filling out your LinkedIn, or do you just feel like I want to separate that from what I do now?
I think part of it is I don't think anybody looking to hire me gives a hoot about it. I would say, it's on my resume. So on my resume, it's on there. I would say anybody looking at my LinkedIn to look at, trying to recruit me or whatever is not going to go through and look at that and go, oh shoot, he played in the league. Let's go after him. So I think it was a little bit intentional, but I do keep it on my resume. But literally, I don't do. It's literally here's who I played for. That was it. It's not a whole lot behind that because again, it's one of those that I want folks to pursue me on the merits of what I've done since that time.
You can answer this based on the Trailblazers, the Suns, the Rockets combined. But I'll ask you about return of investment, right? ROI. Some people look at a sports marketing partnership and they say, it's basically a vanity buy. Some people look at it and go, no, we really need to get a return on investment. From your mind, client side, the side of the team, how do you evaluate that something works? Someone puts up a big sign as they walk into the Houston Rockets new building. How do you evaluate and let the client know this was your return on investment?
Yeah. So I would say, first and foremost, we're going to put a partnership together that we agree is a mutual understanding of what the benefit is, right? So as you dive into a partnership, first and foremost, you want to find out what it is they're looking for. What number of are they looking for impressions, or are they looking to drive traffic back to whatever the location is? So part of it's built on what the need is for the specific partner. And now today, analytically, it's unbelievable what the agencies are that we all work with that are able to track that data and what that ROI is, from impressions within the venue, impressions on TV, impressions on visiting TV, and what picks that up. So we do a playbook at the beginning of the year. Here's your menu. Here's everything that's happening. We do a mid-season recap that has everything that they're in there through the middle of the season of what your data looks like and what it goes back to the impressions numbers or whatever it is you're looking to receive as part of your investment. And then we do an end of the year recap that showcases, again, the value of those assets that you bought. And I don't know if it's a vanity play. Naming rights maybe sometimes can become a vanity play if somebody's looking to maybe go public and it now becomes one that it elevates their brand in a greater way than what they had thought. But I maybe back in the day too, that was part of the pursuit. I think now it is, we're doing, that's where I say I need my math degree. We're doing so much around stats and analytics of what it makes a difference back to the partner based on measurement of what the audience looks like, both in the building through all of our social channels or through our media outlets. It's really made a huge difference from how we've gone about selling those assets.
Okay, so with that in mind, if San Diego State has a great sports MBA program, it's fantastic. For students in that program, for other students in the similar programs, especially based on that answer, what are things that they need to know? What are things that they need to be making sure that they understand so that they can put themselves in a position to get a job working for you or someone like you?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I think they have a great leader that teaches that program in Scott Minto. Scott is fantastic, and I think I wish they had something like that when I was back in school, especially if it was a path that I knew I wanted to go down the road of. And for me, I like the way that that package is set up at State is the fact that get your undergrad degree in business, get your undergrad degree in communications, whatever it is. Don't get it in sports, in my opinion. Turn around and then take the program in your postgraduate, because that allows you to really open yourself up of maybe I do want to go into sports and maybe I want to do something different, but at least you got the foundation of whatever your degree may end up being. But I think, again, when I speak specific to San Diego State, because I know what Scott does hands-on opportunities. And I think that's what's fantastic. Whether it's Farmers Insurance Open, they do a trip of the Dominican, and they're doing hands-on opportunities there. He sets up internships at different teams as well too. So you're getting that hands-on opportunity to be able to do it. I think part of what it is figuring out is, do you want to be on the sales side? Do you want to be on the analytics side? Do you want to be on the strategy and service side of it? I think that's the biggest thing as you go through the program, is to figure out where within the business do you want to play. And I think that's important.
I don't know how easy it is to answer this question, but I just wrote those things down: sales, analytics, strategy, service. What are characteristics that people should think about? Not everyone has the gift of gab like Tom Fletcher. What are different traits that people might think of that would help guide them into what would be best for them, which they would enjoy the most?
So I've always, kind of even outside of traits, I've told my kids from day one, if you're not getting out of bed in the morning and doing cartwheels, you're doing the wrong thing. Mm-hmm. So if you're not doing that, it's time to change and do something different. And I think that's important first and foremost. So as you start looking at the paths from partnerships to sales, does it excite you? As you're doing those projects, does it excite you to do it? I think part of it's looking at it of, if you're an introvert, and it's really tough of that client interaction side, maybe you want to do a non-client facing type opportunity. Maybe that's strategy and analytics, and maybe that plays into it. Activation. We've got some phenomenal activators on our team that kind of manage our strategy and service side of it, that aren't necessarily the most extroverted, but they do a fantastic job in what that is. I think for sales, in my opinion, if you're a great seller, when you walk in the room, someone knows you're there. You have a presence. You don't have to be me and gregarious and is I'm going to approach it different, but that's just my personality. But you need to have that confidence of walking in the room that somebody turns around and goes, "Ooh, who's that?" Mm-hmm. And I think that makes a huge difference on a fantastic seller, his presence.
Let me ask you next about being a sports fan, because the main thing that I tell aspiring journalists who want to work in sports media, your career of being a fan is over, right? At least it's your fandom of that team, maybe that sport. You can still be a fan of this team, but you got a job to do and you need to be an objective journalist. You are no longer a fan. Get the fanboy out of you. What is the ability to still be a fan, a sports fan, when you work in the sports marketing business side?
A great question, and I couldn't agree with you more. I tell young people who you're born and raised a Rockets fan, you probably don't want to work for the Rockets. Mm-hmm. You're born and raised a Suns fan, you probably don't want to work for the Suns. I think it makes a huge difference of working for the team you grew up rooting for, because you're going to see stuff that makes you not be a fan of what that team is. Like, I would probably never work at San Diego State. I'd probably never work for the Padres, again, but I also know both sides of it. So for me, it's one of those, I don't want to have that take away. I'm a fan of, like, again, now jumping into the Rockets or the Phoenix Suns the last 6 years, I'm a fan of the teammates that I get to work with and what we're all shared to do in the number of hours we put in every day, the roster that's put together and what that means to the city, how it impacts the business of what we do. And you can't help but get behind that and get excited behind it. But it does change your scope on, your quote unquote fandom for that individual team. Again, you're gonna see stuff behind the scenes that may put a bad taste in your mouth, or you may interact with a player where you're like, I wish that player just didn't show up. But I also could not imagine not working in sports. I love the fact that whatever team you work for, somebody's got an opinion, whether that's great, whether that's not great. To me, I think that is awesome because it's a great conversation starter. There's great passion, there's great excitement. So when I look at fandom, I love the fandom in the marketplace wherever you are, because I think that's that communal piece where people can get behind it and elevate it.
We're going to start to wrap things up. A few more things for you. I want to ask you if you have an example of a partnership that you put together. And again, you can do Suns, Trailblazer, Special Olympics, where we can learn by the details, the nuance. A client that you put together, maybe something unique that you did, maybe how you rescued something that was about to go away. Just give us like some behind the scenes story of any client that where you think we can learn from it.
I will go into one that literally just wrapped up. I was fortunate at the Suns. We had our credit union category open, and we went to market around a official partner in the credit union category. And we had two credit unions that were great partners of ours, and two that were, I think, both ready to invest within us. And both happened to be in the same market, which was not Phoenix. They weren't based in Phoenix. Great presence in Phoenix, but weren't based in Phoenix. Yet they happened to be in the same kind of alternate market for us. And had an opportunity to go be able to sit down and start having conversations with them around what a partnership could look like. And I think the biggest thing and the most important thing is what are the intentions of that partner for not only how they're going to use your brand, but how are they going to help impact what it is you do, and how do you surround yourself on the partner side with people that you would want to go to dinner with, people that you would want to invest your time and energy into, and where do you think those opportunities could flourish? So we ended up putting a deal together with a credit union partner of ours that we chose them based upon the relationship that we had built with them. Financials, the money was going to be very similar. Money was going to be very similar around it, but it was built around the relationships of the people that we were doing this partnership with. And I could tell you there's some of the greatest relationships that I've ever had in this business, zero question. So for me, when I look at partnerships, it's all around the people. And there's partnerships we've walked away from because we just didn't want to work with those folks. And we didn't feel like it was good for the people who are in our building. And we didn't feel like if they're that way to the people in our building, how are they going to be for the people that are attending our games? And that partnership turned into a small six-figure deal that became a pretty good size seven-figure deal. And most recently, we were fortunate to just cut the ribbon on naming rights for our Mercury practice facility, which is hands down one of the greatest investments into the history of women's sports, and literally built on relationship, built on trust, built on what we felt their vision was around impacting women in sports. And that made the biggest difference for their to be able to elevate that partnership.
Well, we have to say the name of the client now.
Mountain American Credit Union. I will forever, one of my favorite clients, hands down, period. The folks at Mountain American Credit Union, all day, every day. Just good people.
So you just made me think of something. I work in minor league baseball. For people who are listening to this podcast for the first time, my primary job is play-by-play announcer. So I'm on the on-air talent, but in minor league baseball, you do a little bit of everything, including I do a little bit of corporate sales. I'm like a pebble of sand on the beach of Pacific Beach compared to what Tom Fletcher does. But I'm curious how often people come to you and how often you come to them, because the number of times when our director of corporate partnerships will say, well, Josh, what does the client want? And I'm like, I don't know. I called them. They probably want me to stop calling them. Right. So I'm curious for you, how often do they come to you, and how often is there a cold call of you coming to them?
I would say 95.5%, it's us pursuing them. Very rare does it become one where your phone's going to ring. That is one where, candidly, the NFL side of it, NFL side, I think, takes a lot of phone calls from all my brethren that are in that league. I think the NFL does a lot of that. I think for us in the NBA, it is you're pursuing the opportunity. And so for me, I love that chase. I love the courtship and be able to look at kind of how you can get the right mixture for a client that works. And I think that's the art, right? That if anybody could do that, anyone could be in this job. I think being 25 years in this business, it's that art of storytelling. It's that art of truly understanding what a client needs and being able to sit there and say, you know what, Josh, I don't think I can make a difference for your business. I don't think there's any reason for us to do a deal. Love you, love to hang out, love to do dinner again or whatever it is, but I don't think our group can make a difference based on what I know now for you. And I've had folks that we've had that conversation, and 18 months, 2 years later, they've come back and they said, look, we got rid of our VP of marketing. We feel like this is a great opportunity for us. We'd love to do a deal with you guys. And we've done a deal. And so again, I think part of it's not being desperate, not chasing, not looking at it going, oh my gosh, I got to hit a 8%, 10%, 12% growth number. And that so impacts the way that you are pursuing business because people can read right through that. If you're looking at targeting partners you feel like can help make a difference for your brand and people you want to work with, I think that makes a huge difference for you. And the money's going to be there.
What have I not asked you that I should have asked you that you would like to add about the world of sports marketing partnerships?
It's ever changing, right? It is one that today, I think since COVID, sports, it was so easy for us to hire folks because everybody wanted to work in sports. And then post-COVID, people looked at it and went, oh my gosh, that work-life balance is a little bit different. And we certainly try to structure work-life balance around it as much as we can, but 41 home games and if you have multiple teams, it's a lot that is part of it. But for me, on my end, I think what we do in this business, in this industry, I think is special. I think that being able to, like the Rockets play tonight in an hour and 10 minutes, and that communal tune in, that at 7 o'clock, you're going to turn the game on and you have a vested interest in watching that game because of the partnerships you put together. You know, the players that are tied into it, the business that you can do for your partners and what is going to make a return and impact for them. I just don't know any other industry for me that elicits that type of passion or has that type of tune in opportunity for it. So that's where I think it's special and unique. We do not watch a show in our home 9 times out of 10 that's live outside of sports. And I think that's what's awesome about the sports marketing side of it is people are not going to record it because then this thing goes off and they already know who won and they already know who dropped whatever stats or whatever it is. So for me, it's like, I think it's a great industry to be a part of. And we continue to need good young people in it.
We like to wrap up this podcast by bragging about other San Diego State alums who are making us proud. And so the floor is yours. You can mention as many as you want. They don't have to work in sports marketing. They can work in anything, but brag about other SDSU alums who are killing it out there, Fletch.
So I would go with, just because now that I'm joining the Rockets are playing the Warriors in this playoff series. And one of my dear friends who, gosh, we've known each other 20 something years is Mike Kitts. And Mike is essentially my counterpart at the Warriors. And Mike has done a phenomenal job at the Warriors on the business side, now onboarding, not only a G League, but now adding the WNBA. Mike's done an incredible job. And certainly proud of him. We just, again, got a dear friendship and we pull on each other all the time as far as just kind of how we can go about the business that we tackle each day. And I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about my best man in my wedding and one of our dear friends and Matt Linville. And, Matt, being the athletic director at St. Augustine, to me, it's one that, when you look at career path and you look at kind of what fuels you, I think the giving back of what it means to work on a campus at a high school and coach and work with young people, that to me is unbelievable. And so for me, when I look back to coaches that I played for, athletic directors that I was under, there's so many things that shaped what my future is because of that. And that's where for Linville, to me, the impact that you can have on young people and where their future is going to go. I mean, there's no dollars that can measure that.
Yeah, well said. I like it. Yeah, I love all the times that I've been at a San Diego State sporting event with Matt Linville, and one of his former students sees him and comes running over and says, "Hi, Coach Matt," and wants to give him a hug.
No doubt.
And I'm like, man, that's so cool.
It's awesome. It is awesome. I had lunch last week with a former high school teammate of mine from 30 years ago. We hadn't seen each other in a long, long time. And literally half the lunch was talking about Coach Singh, who was like 6 years older than us and was our freshman coach. He moved up with us to JV. He moved up with us to varsity. And he was like the big brother we didn't have. And he like guided so much of what I did after that in the shape of like Coach Ashby and folks from high school and stuff. It just made such an impact and a difference. And I think that's amazing. And still to this day, like even on like Facebook, the coaches I played for, when I announced my, job shift today, I'm getting messages from freaking my old high school head coach and coaches. And I'm like, oh, I made it.
Yeah. You did make it. Congratulations, Fletch. I'm super excited for the next chapter of your career. And thanks for joining me on this podcast. This was awesome.
My pleasure. It's a long time overdue, man. And I would say I'll finish it with proud of you, my friend. You followed a passion that is so important to you. The books that you've been able to write and make a difference there, and certainly outside of sports as well, too. But I'm proud of what you've done. I'm certainly thankful to call you a dear friend of mine. So I appreciate you.
Once again, his name is Tom Fletcher. He is the brand new Senior Vice President Partnerships of the Houston Rockets. My name is Josh Suchon. I'm your host for the Where You At podcast. Hope you enjoyed this one. I know that I sure did. We will talk to you again next week.
Thanks for listening to the Where You At podcast. This is Devin Watley from the class of 2021. Thanks to Martine Marine for creating the music you're hearing right now, and Alex Piscatelli for her work on the podcast name and artwork on social media. And a reminder to SDSU alums, we really want to know where you're at. Tell us about your career. Get involved in the school. There's many ways you can do this, from donating your time or money, mentoring students, to even speaking in classrooms, in person, or on Zoom. Your work can help us grow the program and create more opportunities for our students to succeed. Again, thanks for listening. Subscribe to this podcast. Tell your friends. Recommend us a future guest. And go Aztecs.